What's up, guys? I have not done a pedal board video or any kind of gear walkthrough since 2018. There's a lot of different things, obviously, so let's check this out. So we're going to start here with the guitars. So I was looking to do a Telecaster, but wanted a Telecaster Deluxe, but ended up finding this. This is actually a Schecter Diamond Series. It's cool. It's got Filtertrons and the bridge on the neck. Push-pull pots. This thing actually sounds really freaking good. Never thought I'd ever play a Schecter, to be honest with you. If this ever gets out, Schecter, I'm not saying your guitars are crap, just not my style. So this is a really cool story guitar. You know, my last video I had a black Telecaster that had the Veritas pickups in it, and had a guy trade on this. I don't think you know what he had, because this is a heavy boy. This is a sparkled, if you can see that. Get the sparkle red. This is a Japanese-made 1986 Epiphone Les Paul, the ones that were made in Japan. It's got a real Bigsby on it, everything like that. This actually has the Veritas Pioneer pickups in it. So they're low output humbuckers, pretty much, just like the Lambertone Cremas, just the Veritas versions I found on Reverb. I don't ever have like, oh, this one's my number one or anything like that. It kind of just is more so what I'm feeling. And this is my Silver Sky that I love to death. This is my baby. This is my, I will say, okay, take back what I said. This is my number one go-to. This thing can just pretty much do anything. So it's cool. It's a real one. It's not an SE. This is a 2020 model. So, yeah, PRS makes great guitars. Feels great. The setup right out of the box was nuts. The intonation was perfect from the moment that I got it. So, as for ears, we got a guy through a lady, Miss Jeanette from Ultimate Ears. She hooked us up. Very great company. If I do recommend any kind of in-ear company, I do recommend Ultimate Ears. The customer service is why that we all of us switched to Ultimate Ears, and you know, they just work well, especially for like worship groups and everything like that. They take care of their customers. I'm using UE5's dual drivers, our keys player, worship leader, our bass player, and our drummer. Obviously, they use more than two drivers, but I don't really need them, so I just use dual drivers. So Ultimate Ears, check those out. Those are great people. We love them. I'm not getting paid, obviously, to say that, because look at me. This is even what I use on a Sunday, so it's a lot. But KSM9 microphone that have a switch to turn it into a talkback for everybody's ears. Pick holder. That's also my Joe Perry slide. You know, Ebo. I saw E. Edwards, this little thing where he taped up a little line to it. I thought that was genius, because I actually cracked my Ebo because I got nervous and dropped it and cracked it. So that's cool. G7 capo always. We don't have an in-ear mixer guy, so I like to mix my ears on the fly here. But we're gonna see what happens, because for this conference I'm using the Allen Heath ME1. So these things are cool. So it allows you to run stereo without taking up two channels on your Snake, because it's all digital. Let's move down to the board. Things are still changing a little bit, always. Going to the Walrus audio compressor. This is not the new one, obviously, because it doesn't have the tone knob. Tone knob is the coolest thing. Going out of that, Pog 2. I think this has been on my board the longest out of any pedal. It's probably been on my board since early 2017. Let's come out of that. Planet Waves cable. I like to use Planet Waves cable. Forgot to say that. Now this little pedal is cool. I've never heard of. I think it's Kalin, whatever. I don't really know. But this pedal is based off the Timmy, $30, and this thing replaced my Morning Glory just because I wanted something like transparent. And this thing is sick. I love this thing, but it also runs good, and I'll show you how I also like to use it. But it's like my first stage drive, just kind of like I'm just turning my amp up just a little bit. It's not giving me too much more like distortion or anything like that. Next is my ODR1, like that. So got my ODR1, just the Nashville overdrive. Love this thing. This thing is sick. I did like the Protein my buddy was showing me about, and it's a blues breaker on one side and an ODR1 circuit on the other side. And I really liked the ODR1 circuit, but I already had it Morning Glory at the time, and which is actually sitting right there on our bass player's board, which is cool. He's got a little cool little board. I just love this. I love this for solos and any kind of heavier thing. It's really cool. Next, now you'll notice the gray kilt. Awesome. My favorite pedal in the world is the kilt, but I got really nervous with keeping it on my board since people are starting to pay really high money for them, and it's my favorite pedal, so I got nervous about keeping it on my board. I still feel like it does sound better than the version 2, but I can't justify keeping it on my board. So anytime we record anything, I will definitely still be using it. So I run it in the flat EQ with the gain 1 switch up. This still keeps it in blue mode, but as you see here, my Mo Beta button is what activates it and puts it into the fuzz mode. So a lot of times, sometimes I'll turn that on for solos. Now, what I was talking about with the Pure Sky, so let's say if like I'm not trying to get into fuzz territory like this, I'm just trying to just jump out and just push it a little bit harder, push this pedal circuit a little bit harder. That's where I'll cut the Pure Sky on. And then I like to stack these two together too, just depending on if I'm looking for just a tiny bit more gain. Coming out of the Kilt version 2 volume pedal, obviously you know what that does. Tuner pedal. So we go into the Emperor. I use the Chorus and Vibrato. This thing's cool. I am looking at the Juliana from Walrus Audio because it runs stereo, but JHS, if you made this in stereo, maybe I'd buy it. Timeline Big Sky. If you don't know about these yet, I think you're under a rock. These are literally just the best. And this is where I come out of the Timeline stereo into the Big Sky stereo. Then I go into here, which is my HX style, using the David Hislop amps. But I was playing with some guys, the sound guys from IHOP told me to turn the drive up on the amps, like you're just turning up the just the amp gain. And I found that, so you'll see drive there is a 6 and there is a 6. So I just found like what that did was it made it to where things just a little bit more punchy and they just hit a little bit harder. Because one thing I have noticed is that in the worship, everybody tries to get that Bethel tone and they think they have to get all these big reverbs, and that's not actually the case. It's not big reverbs. It's actually a lot of overdrive. And just to make the tone big, you want it big, and all these people try to add a bunch of like reverb, and then it just gets spacey. The only thing I use for this is, say like if I'm using the PRS and it just gets a little bit too shrill, I'll cut this high cut on for any kind of like really high-end, pitch stuff. Anytime I do hit a solo that I want to really jump out in front of the mix or anything like that, I'll hit this and it just gives me a 3 dB boost. And yeah, so, and then this is the tremolo. Slow it down, turn it off. Everything's powered by Strymon Ojais, 2 of them. Out of that, I go into DI box straight into the board, into the SQ7. That's my board for this year, and we'll see if anything changes. Like, subscribe. I got more content coming up, working on some songs and all that kind of stuff. So as the lights are turning out, this video is turning out. So have a good one.